Commissioners, if we can pause for just 1 second. Yesterday in our staff meeting, we had a conversation to where I informed you that I'd like to introduce an off-agenda item for the board's consideration. This topic that we discussed yesterday was centered really around data centers in our staff meeting. Data centers comprise a use that we currently don't have defined provisions within our zoning code. And I think that since there is not an application at the planning department at this point in time, I think it's incumbent on us to have a period of time where we can really determine and have intentional research, fact-finding, communication with our constituents and the rest of the community. I think that this topic warrants that type of further consideration and further discussion. So as a result, I want to make a motion that the Board of County Commissioners add an off-agenda item to discuss and consider the potential adoption of a resolution to establish interim development controls for data centers within the unincorporated parts of Sedgwick County. That's a motion. Can I get a second? Second. We have a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Buba.
Aye.
Commissioner Wise. Aye. Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Commissioner Meitzner. Chairman Beatty.
Aye. Okay, as mentioned yesterday in our staff meeting, we had a conversation really as a reminder about solar regulations and the policy that the Commission went through for the better part of a year and a half to develop some policy around solar. In the midst of that conversation, we also asked Scott Wadle, our planning department director, to give us a briefing about where we are with data centers. As we all know from our emails and the conversations that are happening throughout the community, data centers is a topic here in Kansas. Last year, the Kansas legislature passed some legislation in regards to sales tax exemptions and other emphasis and incentives to allow data centers to come to Kansas with some incentives. With that being said, obviously, we are now entertaining multiple conversations from organizations that have interest in doing business in Sedgwick County with data centers. Sedgwick County has always been open for business, and we're always open to conversations, and we certainly always honor our property owners, but these conversations also have to be deliberate. There have to be a lot of research and a lot of study and a lot of communication that happens. So that's why yesterday's conversation, a staff meeting, led to this off-agenda item to discuss a pause of sorts for 90 days so that we can actually develop some of this policy and have conversations and more research. So, Kirk, is there anything that I'm missing there?
Commissioners, Kirk Sponsel, Deputy County Councilor. Chairman Beatty, that was, I think, a great synopsis of the background context. If you want me to, I can certainly walk through a potential mechanism by which we could accomplish a pause.
That'd be great.
Okay. As I've passed out to the board, this is a draft version of a potential resolution that contemplates the interim development control as referenced by Chairman Beatty. And just for general public knowledge, also for information for the board, other members of staff, I'm just going to briefly touch on the highlights that are included within the proposed resolution. So Section 1 indicates that basically there would be an interim development control or a pause or a freeze on any applications that come through after the enactment of this resolution. These would be applications either for conditional use permits associated with zoning or building permits. These would be associated with data centers. For purposes of the resolution, data centers shall be generally construed as one or more buildings, facilities, or other sites that are constructed, reconstructed, enlarged, remodeled, leased, or used to principally house a group of networked computer servers for the storage, processing, management, and dissemination of data and information, or a substantially similar use. So that's Section 1. Section 2 discusses how MAPD and MABCD are supposed to implement that pause. Section 3 discusses how MAPD staff and MAPC, the Metropolitan Area Planning Commission, are expected to review the current unified zoning code and consider potential amendments that would directly address data centers. Section 4 discusses how this resolution may be extended, amended, or terminated earlier than its expiration date by a subsequent resolution approved by the Board of County Commissioners. So you do have the authority to extend this out. You do have the authority to shorten the window, depending on the needs and the preferences of the board. Section 5 discusses how the Director of MAPD, in conjunction with the Director of the MABCD, are responsible for administering this resolution. Section 6 just discusses how if some areas of this resolution are held unconstitutional, doesn't impact the validity of the action as a whole. That's just standard common language you see in a lot of contracts and resolutions. And then Section 7 discusses the term, which is after the adoption and implementation of this resolution, were the board wanting to do so, it would remain in effect until April 17th, 2026, which is just slightly over 90 days.
Okay.
With that said, this action would be considered legislative. This does not apply to any one specific application or one specific area. It applies to Sedgwick County unincorporated area as a whole.
Okay. Okay, Commissioners, any questions for Kirk there?
I'll make a comment. If I can, I'll make a comment.
Sure,
Kirk, thanks. I think we had a really healthy, I looked back, we had about a 30-minute discussion yesterday in staff meeting, which is available for anybody to watch, to have, there's pretty open opinions and feedback and recommendation. And I think just reading this resolution pretty much incorporates everything that we all were nodding in agreement on, basically. It's a large task in a way, but we think the footprint for those that are around during the solar task that we did a couple years ago took almost a year to do, but a footprint was really established then that really gives the guidelines how to get there. And this one seems much simpler to and that's why we had a discussion about 90 days or less, and we're hopeful that the feedback that the Planning Commission will get from comparable states, communities, input from data center people, input from our Greater Wichita Partnership people, that all of our economic, whenever we have an economic development opportunity come to us and to the city of Wichita, we have a contract with Greater Wichita Partnership to serve as our economic development advisors, and they do a lot of the background and a lot of the heavy lifting before it gets to us for approval. So I think it incorporates all. I like the resolution. I just read it, and the way you summarized it's really good. So thanks for letting me say a few words.
Yeah, and thank you for turning this over so quickly from yesterday's staff meeting to us. Commissioner Wise.
Yes, thank you for putting this together. I think yesterday was really helpful, especially for Commissioner Blubaugh and I, since we were sitting in the seats out there whenever the solar discussion was going on, and it was extensive, and research took a long time. Everyone did a lot of studying considerations, and I think that the commission at that time did a really great job really rallying around the communities and what their thoughts were on solar. My hope is that a lot of that research can apply then to data centers, where we can use what we learned on solar and apply it to what we need to know on data centers. I think that it's my interest, if we can get it done in 90 days because we have all of this research and we can feel really comfortable about it, I'm okay with that. But I really want to just, I guess, express to my colleagues here that I don't want it to be rushed either. So making sure that we're really comfortable with what we know, with what we have set in place already, that we can learn from what we went through on the solar side and apply that to data, but knowing also the differences between the two. So thank you for the work. I just wanted to express that I think we did a really great job on the county side when it came to solar, and I think we can do a really great job when it comes to the data centers as well.
Yeah, very good. Commissioner Howell.
Thank you, Chairman. Just wanted to, I guess, reiterate a point I made yesterday. Again, I don't want to establish any opinion on this, but I do have questions, and I want to make sure that the staff that does this work at least circles back to the commission to gather questions we might have. I want to make sure that they're not missing something I'm interested in, that I want to have answers to some of my questions. They may do that naturally, but they might not. So it doesn't say it directly in here, which is fine. I'm okay with the resolution as worded, but I just want to reiterate, I guess, unofficially, that my hope is that they'll at least talk to commissioners and get our questions before they just go to the end and not include our concerns or questions we might have. And then secondly, I know this is timely because there's rumors of an application that may or may not happen, but the rumors are out there, which is why we're getting a lot of email on this topic. And now we're reacting with this potential change in zoning. One thing I would like to reiterate again from yesterday is that we don't have any applications for battery storage right now. We need to have a resolution to direct MAPC staff and planning staff to work on that discussion as well. I don't know if we need a resolution to do that, but my opinion is that's one of those things that I would expect will happen at some point in our future. So rather than waiting until there's rumors of a battery storage facility being coming into Sedgwick County, then we actually go through this process again. Let's do it proactively and do it now, even though we don't have anybody talking about that. So I don't know if we need to have a resolution for that or not, but I would at least like to see them go through that process with battery storage facilities as well.
I appreciate that, Commissioner Howe. That was a conversation that I had with Manager Stoltz yesterday about the timing of some of the battery storage conversations. Two things to note. One, in the solar work that we did in policy, there is quite a bit of reference to battery storage. So the question now is, do we look at that and reinforce that and let that be the guiding principle on some of these things? Or do we need a separate resolution, separate conversation? My point being is that we're going to continue having that conversation. I think in my mind is I wanted, since this is the data center conversation is relevant and there's a sense of urgency for the community on that conversation, I didn't want to deter planning staff, management staff, and commission from doing the work on that to turn over information on data centers and also try to do battery storage facilities at the same time. So I do agree. I think we need some policy and guardrails for these things. And the policy is not just for the commission in making decisions. The policy is for the applicant. The policy is for the property owners, and the policy is for the constituents and the citizens of Sedgwick County so they know the rules in which we govern by. So we're not trying to do that from sitting up here. So I think this is an effort that's really important so everybody understands what is or isn't permissible walking into it. But Commissioner Howe is exactly right. The battery storage conversation will be shortly to follow. Commissioner Blubaugh?
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to echo Commissioner Wise's comments a little bit. I think 90 days is the right time right now. If we feel like at the end of 90 days we're not satisfied, I think we could go out further. But as we notice, some of our neighboring counties are going out for much longer extended time that haven't went through the solar, that haven't went through the same things that we have. So I do agree right now that 90 days is the right time. And in 90 days, if we don't feel like it is, then we'll revisit it at that time.
Yep, very good. Okay, Commissioners, I'm going to make a motion here, and I'm going to sorry, Madam Clerk, but I'm going to include a lot of things into this motion because the communication, the clarity of communication for the community, I think is really important. The clarity of the communication to those that are considering putting an application in, the clarity of communication to the property owners that are considering doing transactions, private transactions with organizations, and for the rest of the citizens in Sedgwick County. So forgive me, Madam Clerk, this is going to be quite a bit of but I want the communication very clear. So I make a motion that the board approve the resolution imposing an interim development control on data center applications, whether zoning or building related, through April 17th, 2026. My motion is based on the following reasons. I believe data center projects generally have significant and nuanced impacts on the community. This interim development control is only temporary and is meant to allow staff to thoroughly review the issue, provide feedback, provide data, and other research. This is a matter of first impression for Sedgwick County, with no direct data center regulations in place and no applications having previously been submitted. I would prefer ensuring that we have the most appropriate standards in place now, rather than in the midst of considering a specific data center application. Nationwide, the discussion concerning data centers has increased, providing Sedgwick County with an opportunity to analyze other municipalities and how they've handled data centers. I am extremely interested in the potential impact that data centers may have on the region and community, including impacts on water, utility rates, and policies governing setbacks, water reuse, and other things related to data centers. Finally, I believe that 3 months is an appropriate time frame for staff to complete a thorough analysis of the issue, and we could explore shortening that time frame if all the objectives have been met and the commission is satisfied with the results. So that's a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. We have a motion. We have a second. Justin, good? Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Buba?
Aye.
Commissioner Wise?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell?
Aye.
Commissioner Meitzner? Chairman Beatty?
Aye. Okay, Kurt, thanks. Justin, thanks for all the work. Andrew, thanks for all the work that's happening around this topic.